Hey YouTube, what's up? Dr. T here, and welcome to my hometown, St. Petersburg, Florida. We are located on the central west coast of Florida by Tampa Bay and in the Gulf of Mexico on the west side of the county. Take a minute to have a look at St. Petersburg in all its wonders, a piece of paradise to live in. If you are new to my channel, take a look around. You will find everything for one-stop shopping in the playlists. So back on Bitcoin again. Looking at the big picture, we can see the first bottom out here, first support level there. So the current situation seems to be trying to define what its next support level will be. And we can take the big picture out here. So that was the current downside, and I guess it's going to find out what that bottom is. So let's go take a look at the news and see what's out there that might be interesting. So let's see, do I have Ethereum on here? I put it on here. Yeah, well, let's move that up and let's move that up. So take a look at Bitcoin news. See if there's anything worth looking at on here. So what is this? Thomas Reut is using your feelings about Bitcoin to make investors rich. How does the world feel about cryptocurrency? Announced Monday, media giant Thomas Reut has launched a new Bitcoin data feed designed to make it easier for investors to know that very answer. Included in the latest release of the company's market psych indices product, a suite of investment tools analyzing everything from companies to sovereign bonds, Bitcoin sentiment data feed, and will use AI to analyze more than 400 sources of data, sourcing news articles, social media posts in search of actionable insight. Interesting. That's prospective news. Euro can't ban Bitcoin mining over energy concerns, official says. Oh, that's interesting. Crypto mining is perfectly legal in Europe and only subject to standard electricity rules, according to an EU commissioner. In a statement released last week, this person, Europe's Commissioner for Digital Economy and Society, addressed concerns about the power-intensive nature of cryptocurrency mining while clarifying the regulatory status of the industry. She said, if the energy consumed by this activity is produced according to law, there is no legal basis to forbid or even limit it, as mining of cryptocurrency is not an illegal activity. The Commission did not put in place any means to track it so far. Okay. My favorite, Ethereum. See what's going on here. Ether takes step towards institutional US trading. Oh, really? Consensus, the New York-based blockchain application startup, has announced today it is partnering with True Digital, a new affiliate of online interest rate swap marketplace TrueX, what a mouthful, in an effort to develop a benchmark price for Ethereum's Ether cryptocurrency. According to an announcement, the two firms are planning to design a target reference index for the price of Ether, the second largest cryptocurrency by total value, as an initial step towards the goal of making more crypto trading products available for institutional investors. The partnership news comes alongside TrueX's announcement that the company is planning to launch a derivatives marketplace for crypto assets. Lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff going on. While that's doing that, this is starting to test its bottom. So there was the bottom at midday. It's starting to test that bottom. Interesting, following this along. Yeah, so while I'm doing this, I'm back to studying. I'm going through a course on artificial intelligence. I need to get something done while this is going on. Let's go look at something else. Cryptocurrency news, alright. Cryptocurrency scammers run off with more than $2 million after ditching their investors. Might as well look at it, Vic.
An initial coin offering, for people who don't know, is it's a way that money by essentially not issuing shares, but something similar, and saying, you give us some cryptocurrency and we'll give you one of our new tokens that we're going to issue, which should have some sort of future value. And that's basically the principle of an ICO. Now, a company called Giza popped up around October. They set up a website. Their product was a secure cryptocurrency hardware wallet, so a little USB looking thing that they were eventually going to sell to these investors, and the investors would use their token to pay for some of the services developed with that. But as the months went on, many of these investors poured quite large sums of money. One investor told me they put up to $10,000 worth of Ethereum into this project. And eventually the wheels started falling off this project. The first signs came when they had contracted a Russian company called ThirdPin to create this device. I spoke to the CEO of ThirdPin and said, well, we had got in contact, they gave us a pretty vague technological spec for what this device is supposed to be. We tried to get this thing made, and eventually they stopped contacting us. They said, we'll get to you in about a month's time. They never got paid for any of this consultancy they did at the start of the project, and that was one of the first time. And that's when the investors started to getting a little bit concerned. They started then to look into the COO of this project. Now, if you looked at the website when it was up, it's been taken down since we have started investigating. The COO, his name was Marco Fike, and he had a LinkedIn page. And we started looking a bit further into this. He listed Microsoft as a previous place of work. I contacted Microsoft. They said they've never heard of the guy. The University of Oxford, apparently where he studied, they're still looking to get back to me, but it looks like at this point he never went there either. And then we started digging further, and we found that the profile picture he had used had been stolen from another user's Instagram, and a filter had been put on it. He'd put it as his main LinkedIn profile. So there were clear signs there that this guy perhaps doesn't exist, or it's a fake identity. And then this continued, and I spoke to some of the people who were listed on the Giza's websites as software developers and engineers, and they said essentially the same story. They were contacted by a guy named Marco Fike on a platform called Upwork, which is a freelancing platform, and they had said that we're developing this project. Can you get on board? We're going to pay you $1,000 a month. And essentially, a month went by without hearing any contact. And then they got back in contact and said, we're going to start soon. And then there was no further update. And essentially, they just stopped hearing from anyone involved in this project. And that seems to be a similar story across the investors and these so-called employees they managed to hire.
So the relevance more broadly for ICOs, I mean, it's been a really hot area in the last 6 months or so as investors wanted to chase how to get into the market. Do you think there are ramifications on transparency around this particular story and how investors think about ICOs in future?
Absolutely. I think this is an eye-opener for many people looking at ICOs. Many people feel actually perhaps they've missed some of the big ride that Bitcoin saw and some of the other coins, and actually an ICO is the way to find the next Bitcoin. What is going to be this coin that goes up 3,000–4,000%? And that's really why we've seen the huge interest in ICOs and this huge amount of money raised. But I think this story is something that regulators need to look at and say, actually, how do we bring ICOs into the regulatory fold if indeed this is a legitimate way of raising capital for new companies, if they can't access perhaps the public markets, if they can't or don't want to access the venture capital markets too?
Yeah, I mean, inevitably, we're talking about an emerging asset class here, so it needs to be treated like an emerging asset class or like an emerging market or a developing nation. Essentially, it has high risks for the high potential rewards. There's very little in the way of transparency, very little in the way of governance, very little in the way of actually a marketplace and liquidity. So all of these things are the risk premiums, if you like, and investors should go into this recognizing these are the risks that this asset class presents. I mean, this story that's been broken here is one of several, and likely we will see many of these in the coming months and years until we're able to get to a bit more of an efficient marketplace and a little bit more maturity in the asset class.